The story begins in Finland in 1944, where the Second World War is drawing to a close, and weary soldiers are retreating to their homelands. The Nazis are also ordered to leave, but before leaving, they destroy all the roads, villages, and towns coming their way. We then see a Finnish commando named Korpi in the forests. He left the war behind to lead a peaceful life with his loyal dog and a horse. One day, Korpi finds some pieces of gold in a river, which made him realize that there is a gold mine nearby, so he keeps digging every day searching for the gold, ignoring all the fighter planes. He goes on digging for days without losing hope, and finally finds a lot of gold. He gets emotional because the gold was going to change his life. So, Korpi picks up the gold and hides it in his tent, where he stays awake the whole night to protect it, as he was afraid that someone would steal it. The next morning, Korpi packs the gold in a bag and departs from there on his horse, along with his dog. After traveling for a few hours, Korpi comes across a Nazi troop led by General Bruno, who has a dangerous tank. They are also holding a truck full of Finnish women as slaves, and we see a soldier named Wolf doing wrong things to them. Korpi then gets past those soldiers, who are making fun of him, but he keeps moving forward, ignoring all the soldiers. Then Wolf comes to Bruno and takes out his gun to shoot Korpi. But Bruno stops him and says that the man is anyway going towards his death. As Korpi moves forward, he witnesses the massacre done by the Nazi soldiers, but Korpi does not care about those dead bodies because he too had killed many people during the war. However, after going a little further, Korpi comes across a few more Nazi soldiers. Those soldiers ask Korpi to get down from the horse and check his bag, in which they find Korpi's gold. They celebrate that they got rich. Korpi realizes they will kill him and steal his gold, so he instructs his dog to run away. The soldiers try to shoot the dog, but the dog is lucky enough to get away. Bruno hears those gunshots and thinks Korpi's dead. The soldiers mock Korpi, and one of them makes him get on his knees, which makes Korpi infuriated, so he quickly takes out his knife and shoves it into his skull, killing him. The remaining soldiers try to kill him and start shooting, which alerts Bruno, and he suspects something is wrong. Meanwhile, Korpi starts fighting and stabs a soldier before using his body as a shield and takes down the rest by smashing them with their helmet. When the last soldier attacks him from behind, Korpi takes out the soldier's gun and shoots him in the head. After a while, Bruno arrives at the scene to find his soldiers have been killed, and Korpi is gone. He finds a piece of gold in a soldier's pocket. Bruno realizes that Korpi has a lot of gold, so he decides to go after him. After a while, they spot Korpi. They start shooting at him, but Korpi manages to dodge those bullets and run away. Bruno then stops behind and keeps waiting as Korpi gets to a field where Nazi soldiers have planted the mines. A few moments later, Korpi's horse steps on one of those mines and explodes. Korpi survives with some minor injuries, but his horse dies. He embraces his horse one last time as Bruno and the troop are closing in. Korpi then sees that all his gold is scattered everywhere and starts picking it up, putting it in a bag. Bruno and his soldiers watch him from a distance, and Wolf tries to shoot him, but Bruno tells him to wait until Korpi picks up all the gold. Meanwhile, Korpi realizes they were about to shoot him, so he picks up a rock and throws it at a mine, causing an explosion. Bruno couldn't spot Korpi because of the smoke, so he ordered his men to shoot. So they started firing into the smoke, but Korpi used a shield to escape from those bullets. After a while, Bruno sends his men to check on Korpi. As that soldier steps forward, Korpi throws a mine at him, causing him to explode. Bruno then sends 2 more soldiers to check on Korpi, and they both end up dying by stepping on the mines. After the smoke cleared, Bruno realized Korpi was gone, and they couldn't move forward as they had planted that field with mines, so he ordered Wolf to bring 2 Finnish women to cross the minefield. Meanwhile, Bruno investigates the site and finds Korpi's dog tag. Wolf goes back to the truck and picks up frightened Sarah and Ino, then he ties them up and makes them walk in front of the tank. Bruno then tries to find some information about Korpi using his dog tag, and learns Korpi is the most dangerous commando. He lost his family to the Russians during the war. Since then, he became a ruthless soldier and refused to take orders from his superiors. Eventually, they gave up on Korpi and unleashed him to hunt down the Russians. He became an one-man army and killed more than 300 Russians, and they named him Immortal. Bruno's general warns him not to pursue Korpi and leave Finland. He even calls them lucky to be alive after meeting Korpi. Wolf thinks they should follow the orders, but Bruno refuses and wants to go after Korpi. Since they have lost the war, they will be hanged once they reach home, and that gold is their only way out. Meanwhile, injured Korpi sees a burnt truck and lies beside it, where he tends to his wounds before he falls asleep. Korpi's dog eventually finds him, but doesn't go near him. A few hours later, the Nazi soldiers are getting close to Korpi, and he wakes up hearing the noise. Korpi notices that soldiers are using sniffer dogs to find him. So he quickly comes up with a plan and gets under one of their passing truck, and cuts the fuel tank to use it to lose his scent. As soon as the dogs lost his trace, the soldiers found about the gasoline. When they were about to find the leak, Korpi tries to run away from there, and was soon spotted by Bruno and the soldiers. Wolf then shoots him in the leg. As he limps away, they unleash the dogs after him. Korpi then sets himself on fire and runs towards the lake nearby as the soldiers start shooting before he jumps into it. Bruno then waits for Korpi to come out, and when he does, Wolf tries to shoot him, so he goes back into the water again. Bruno then sends 3 of his soldiers on the boat to get the gold from Korpi. One soldier jumps into the lake, and Korpi attacks him from behind and slits his throat, killing him. Bruno then orders the second soldier to jump, and he reluctantly jumps, only to be killed a few moments later. When Bruno orders the last soldier to jump, he gets scared and tries to escape on the boat to the other end of the lake. This makes Bruno angry, and Wolf kills him. The boat slowly reaches the shore, and Korpi comes out of the water, takes the body of the soldier, and uses it as a shield to escape as Wolf rains bullets at him with a machine gun. Korpi eventually gets away, while Bruno and his men are in disbelief. Bruno then sees Korpi's dog and comes up with a plan. Meanwhile, Korpi keeps walking past the horrors the Nazis left behind, and eventually arrives at gas station. As he tries to get some rest, he remembers the horrors of the day his family was killed. Before he falls asleep, he hears his dog barking. He rushes out to find his dog, but soon realizes it's a trap as there is dynamite on it. He throws it away just before it explodes, throwing Korpi away and injuring him. Korpi regains consciousness to find Bruno and Wolf. Wolf then takes out a rope and hangs Korpi to a pole. Then they wait for a few minutes to make sure Korpi is dead. Bruno then checks his hanging body one last time and places the piece of gold he found earlier in Korpi's pocket. After they leave, we see Korpi moving his leg, and it turns out that Korpi is playing dead all this time. He finds a head bolt and tries to find support by stepping on it, but he is unable to do it, so he punches his leg into a nail, which is above it, enduring a lot of pain, but eventually gets enough support to breathe. The night passes, and his dog is waiting for him to come down. After a while, a Nazi fighter plane flies past him, creating a gust of wind, causing the pole to break, and he falls onto the ground. Moments later, the plane lands near the gas station, and the 2 pilots come down looking for gas. When one of the pilots finds Korpi alive, his partner tells him to shoot Korpi and his dog. When he is about to shoot, Korpi kicks his leg, causing him to fall and hit his head on a rock. The other pilot later comes to check on him to find Korpi missing and his partner on the ground unconscious. Just then, Korpi attacks him from behind, knocking him down. Korpi realizes he can't get his gold back, so he buries the piece of gold that Bruno left in his pocket. When the pilot is regaining his consciousness, Korpi decides to shoot him, but soon changes his mind as he has a plane and a pilot, so he comes up with a plan to get his gold back. Korpi then tends to his wounds and removes the shrapnel from his body before binding them with wire. The pilot gets scared of him, and they eventually leave on that plane in search of Bruno, leaving the dog behind. Meanwhile, Bruno and his men are heading towards Norway. Bruno and Wolf plan to escape on a plane to Germany with the gold. Just then, they were blocked by a crashed plane. When they go near to inspect it, they find the dead pilot, and Wolf finds the rope around his neck, the same rope he used to hang Korpi. Bruno realizes Korpi is still alive and has come back for revenge. Since he knows how dangerous Korpi is, he orders his men to get away from there. One soldier gets back to the truck where they kept Finnish women, and he tells the other soldier that Korpi is back. Hearing this, a woman named Ino starts laughing at them, as killing Korpi is impossible, and many Russians had died trying. She then warns them to prepare for the worst, as they took everything from him, and Korpi would keep coming after them, and he never gives up. Just then, one of the soldiers gets stabbed from behind, before Korpi throws the other soldier out, and he gets crushed by the tank. As Ino tries to reach out to the dead soldier's weapon, Korpi gets into the truck, and after seeing all those helpless women, he lets her have that gun and shows he has more of them. Korpi then jumps onto the truck and stabs the driver in the head. He then throws him off before Ino takes the wheel. Korpi then tells her to stop the truck, and the tank behind almost runs into them. Korpi then jumps onto it to get to Bruno. Bruno thinks something is wrong, but Sarah tricks them by waving the dead soldier's hand to make them believe everything is fine. Ino then tries to get past the truck in front of them. As soon as the trucks get side by side, the women come out and shoot every soldier dead before Ino takes out the driver. Bruno learns that all of his men are dead, so he decides to get to his plane as soon as possible. Just then, Korpi tries to break in with a pickaxe. They suddenly stop the tank, which causes Korpi to fall. Wolf then comes out and tries to shoot Korpi, but he dodges. As Bruno tries to get away, Korpi quickly gets on the tank and fights with Wolf. They keep fighting, and eventually fall off the tank. Bruno decides not to stop and heads towards his getaway plane to save his life. Korpi keeps thrashing Wolf until two soldiers show up on a motorbike. They recognize Korpi and quickly run away, leaving their bike behind. Korpi then leaves Wolf, and gets on the bike to go after Bruno. As Wolf thinks he got away, the Finnish women show up with their guns and hold him captive. Meanwhile, Bruno gets to the plane. The pilot tells him that there is only space for one, so Bruno shoots his last soldier who accompanied him. As the plane is about to take off, Korpi reaches there and shoots at them. The plane eventually takes off, but the pilot is injured. And Bruno thinks he got rid of Korpi, but he is holding onto the plane with his pickaxe. He manages to grab the wheel of the plane and tries to make his way inside using his pickaxe. Hearing those noises from the back of the plane, Bruno gets suspicious and decides to check on it, and takes out his gun. As he enters the back room, he gets attacked by Korpi, which leads to a fight between the two. Since Korpi was very badly injured, Bruno starts overpowering him and keeps thrashing Korpi with a cable, but Korpi does not give up yet. He quickly fights back and hooks that cable to the bomb and releases it, dropping Bruno to his death. As Korpi thinks he can finally relax, he realizes that the plane is going down, and the pilot is dead. He quickly rushes back to hold on to something just before the plane crashes into a swamp. Meanwhile, a Finnish unit sees the Nazi tank approaching them, and they get prepared to attack. But it turns out to be the Finnish women, who bring in Wolf tied up to the barrel. Ino informs the soldiers that the whole unit of Nazis is dead except Wolf. Meanwhile, Korpi comes out of the swamp with his gold using his pickaxe. He then goes back to pick up his dog, and arrives at a war-decimated Helsinki. He arrives at a bank, where everyone gets scared seeing Korpi, but Korpi goes straight to the counter and empties his bags of gold on the desk, and asks the bank teller for the bigger bills, so it won't be heavy to carry. That's how the movie ends. Make sure to subscribe, and turn on notifications to watch more videos like this.